determinism and free will can somehow coexist, that freedom might not require a gap in cause and effect, but simply the ability to act according to one's desires and reasons without external coercion, and incompatibilism, which insists that if determinism is true, then free will as we intuitively understand it simply cannot be. And these positions are debated not only by metaphysicians, but by scientists, theologians, psychologists, and poets, because this question touches everything we care about: responsibility, morality, identity, agency, and meaning. In everyday life, this philosophical debate shows up in simple ways, like when you say, "I chose to eat this instead of that," or "I could have made a different decision." But if you look beneath those statements, you find that your preferences were shaped by your tastes, which were shaped by your upbringing, by the food you first encountered as a child, by the culture you were raised in, by the habits of your friends, by what you saw on screens, and by countless small and large causes that you did not choose. And even your very sense of what it feels like to choose emerges from neural activity that your conscious mind only becomes aware of after much of the process has already happened. So that what feels like a spontaneous choice may in fact be the culmination of many hidden processes in your brain, which neuroscientists study under the banner of volition and agency. The capacity to act in an environment in ways we describe as voluntary, but which are deeply entwined with unconscious processes that the brain carries out long before the conscious mind catches up. To bring this down to an everyday example, consider that moment when you are driving a familiar route home, and suddenly you realize you have arrived without remembering the last few minutes of your journey. You were on autopilot, as people put it. Your body executed thousands of tiny decisions about steering, braking, and acceleration. But your conscious awareness was elsewhere, perhaps replaying a conversation you had earlier or worrying about what to cook for dinner. And in that moment it felt like you were in control because you were behind the wheel. But your conscious mind had nothing to do with the actual steering until you came out of that trance and noticed where you were. The same thing happens in bigger and more important ways in life, when we follow habits, conditioned responses, social expectations, or emotional reflexes, and call them choices. Not realizing how much of what we think of as our will is simply the outcome of deep causes we never pause long enough to examine. From this vantage point, the question, "Do you actually have free will?" becomes not a simple yes or no, but a deep reflection on what we mean by free will in the first place. Because if you define free will as